You remind me of death.
Yeah. You got the same eyes, man. The same heart.
It's time to get it, Kanan. Just like your daddy.
So there's always a cost of doing business on someone else's turf, and Rock not only came face to face with the head of the Italian Mafia, Salvacelli, who really is messing with her imports into Jersey, but she's so busy focused on her empire, she's taken one eye off Kanan. And I mentioned before, Rock really does have her hands full in season 2, and Patina Miller, who plays Rock, even teased how we're gonna see her sweat like we've never seen her sweat before, and now we all know why. Rock is losing control over her empire because she doesn't know what the Italian Mafia are capable of. And then there's Worrell, who's still working with Unique, who in turn is working with the Italians, and this is fucking up Rock's organization. And I did make a few videos on how Unique was gonna play Rock, because he really is someone who's thinking 3 moves ahead. Now on the family side, you've got Kanan and the Detective Howard issue. She still has a big problem with Lulu, but also with Duke, who met her mom Kenya for the first time. And I'm sure we could all sense Rock really is feeding Duke with the same lies she's feeding Kanan. But not only is she losing control over her empire, her family, but she's also lost Symphony, who doesn't want anything to do with Rock. And so now she's lost the one person who could give her that life away from the game. But the problem with Rock is, she doesn't listen, nobody speaks for her, and nobody sure as shit tells her what she can and can't do. But that's the issue. I don't think she realizes she's the one who's created all these problems. So let's start with Rock's problem she has with her empire first. Now, pay the toll is about paying a tax, and it's the cost of doing business in Jersey, which is controlled by Salvacelli. Now, we saw one of Rock's trucks being intercepted in a show of force by the Italians, which then set up this meeting between Marvin, Rock, and Lou. Now, just before we talk about Rock's empire, she was spraying the room with air freshener because the room stinks, and the reason why it stinks is because Marvin put a dead body in the wall in season 1.
Well, actually, you won't see, but you know what I'm saying.
So this was always going to cause a stink. Now, another thing I believe which was very deliberate was this news report on TV. Not only does this establish the timeline of where we are, but very similar to the Sharia law, Kanan was someone who taught Ghost and Tommy about the chop shop. Now, we also saw him steal some cash to throw this party, which I am going to come back around to later on in this video. But coming back to the problems with the Italians, Lou and Marvin both said the Italians don't play, and being on the wrong side of the Italians really is the wrong move. But Lou is no longer Rock's voice of reason. Nobody tells her where she can and can't do business. And even though this is a line of work where there's always new issues, she's not helping herself. She's the one who's creating all these problems and then having to come up with a solution. But one thing that's going right under her nose is Worrell is working with Unique, and Unique is in turn working with the Italians. We saw Unique at the bodega, where Rock has an extra level of security to guard her stash, but it was this moment we knew Worrell was playing both sides. And are we surprised? I don't think so. It was obvious she made the wrong call in killing Scrappy, and trusting Worrell on top of that. I think she deserves everything that's coming to her. Now, this was our first look at Salvacelli, who really does come in numbers and in force, and he wasn't stopping Rock from doing business in Jersey. He just wanted her to pay the toll, something which she rejected. Now, she also made a point of Lou not speaking for her because she doesn't like being questioned. But Lou wasn't the only one who was questioning Rock. We even saw Juliana do the same. But this point that Lou was making, the Italian Mafia is something else, because when they come, they're gonna come for all of them. But this was the moment where Rock decided no more trucks and how they were gonna transport their product through buses instead. But that information got from Rock, Lou and Marvin to Worrell, to the man who I believe is 3 moves ahead of Rock, Unique. Now, just before it did, we saw Marvin question Worrell because there's money missing, and it's the money that Kanan stole earlier on, and ironically where Marvin was looking for Unique after Worrell said this is how he used to do business with his old crew. He was actually there in the room because Worrell is Unique's eyes and ears in Rock's organization, and he took a leaf out of Rock's book when she planted Scrappy in Unique's organization in season 1. But where Unique saw it coming, Rock hasn't, and that's the difference between the two. So it does make you think, who really is smarter, Unique or Rock? Now, the information got from Worrell to Unique, who made the call to the Italians to let them know the trucks on our buses. And if you're wondering how did Unique get in contact with the Italians, all we have to do is go back to episode 1. Marco is linked to the Italian Mafia, and Salvacelli is probably his father. And Unique really was making some chess moves in episode 4. he was getting others to do the work for him, which is a principle of Law 7 from the 48 Laws of Power. He knows that Detective Burke and the NYPD are watching him, but he's still making moves without getting his hands dirty. And so we saw the bus being taken, and Marvin's pissed. So far we've seen different layers to Marvin's character compared to season 1, but I think we may start to see the old aggressive Marvin returning real soon. But those are the issues that Rock has with her empire. Lou's head still ain't in the game. She's got a rat in Worrell, and now she's got the problem with the Italians. But let's talk about the issues she faces with her family, and Kanan's the biggest. She knows she had to do something to get him to believe Defcon was his father, so she sent him to visit Vernon Stark, who's the brother of Defcon. Now no doubt, Rock would have given Vernon the heads up that Kanan was coming to visit him because he backed up what Rock said. Now this was a scene where I was wondering, what was Kanan's thought process after he heard the story from Vernon Stark? Was he gonna believe it? Or would it leave Kanan with more questions than answers? And it definitely left him with more questions, even though Marvin gave him a speech about how the only ones that matter are the ones who are here. And this is what Howard's hooker told him: be there for Kanan, show up at his side, and be in his corner. But after Kanan's visit to Vernon Stark, Kanan was someone who's learning that he needs to keep his cards close to his chest. And what was the most important thing about this conversation with Rock after meeting Vernon Stark was what Kanan didn't say. He didn't tell Rock about the second meeting with Detective Howard, and I think he's starting to learn. If he wants answers, he needs to get them himself, which is exactly what he's doing. Now it's his turn to lie to Rock, and instead of going to see Famous, he went to see Howard, but lurking in the corner was Rock. And now she's realized she's losing control, and she really is beginning to sweat. Now, not only is she losing control with Kanan, but she's also losing control of Jukebox. Juke was someone who was on her own mission in episode 4. She wanted answers as to why her mom left her when she was just a baby, and the explanation that she gave was she was young, she was scared, and there was also Marvin. And I do think Juke appreciated Kenya's honesty, but more so the fact it seems like she's changed from all these years they've been apart. Church is now a big part of her life, and she also helps volunteer with kids. And this doesn't strike me of someone who's not capable of being a mother. Maybe she was scared before, but it does seem like she wants to right some wrongs. But so does Marvin. He redecorated Juke's room after understanding who she is, but it's not enough for Juke to forgive Marvin. She just came back to get some clothes she could wear at church and went straight back to Kanan's. And she described the situation of her meeting Kenya as looking at herself in a fucked up way. And I am intrigued to see how this ends for Juke, because she seems like she's going to make an effort with Kenya, and that's going to leave Rock with a bit of an issue, because this is what Rock does. She puts things in her family's mind because she wants control, and you could clearly tell Rock didn't like the fact Juke reached out to Kenya, which is why I think she had doubts about Kanan and why she followed him at the end. Now the other issue she has is with Lou. Lou was always against this move into Jersey, maybe because of his music, but also because it's a new place with new players. But him stepping to Rock and asking her for money to invest into the studio means one thing: it ain't Lou's record label, it's Rock's. She made a clear point in season 1, his shit is her shit. Similar to how Lou fronted Crown money in season 1 in exchange for a share of Bulletproof Records, I can see Rock doing the same and taking this from Lou. Because it was no coincidence the soundboard went missing. It was clearly planned by Crown and Rock to force Lou to lean on Rock for money, which in turn will give Rock more control over Lulu. Now elsewhere, we had Rock meeting Cartier and learning a thing or two about how he cleans his money, and it's through art. And it was a relationship I said we needed to keep an eye on, because Rock does need to find a way to move her money, and Cartier for Reed may be more than just a business partner after all. But something which she is moving forward with is Symphony. We saw her meeting Sherry and moving forward with her plans to buy a property in a fancy neighborhood. But where she wants to play happy families with Symphony, he's done with Rock. He wants her to leave him be and never call him again. And I think it's because Kanan may have revealed a bit too much on the trip to Virginia. And speaking of Kanan, we saw him at Famouses being introduced to Corrine, who's Palomar's daughter, and I think we need to watch Palomar, because I don't know what kind of angle she's working, because if I were her, I wouldn't let my daughter near Kanan, but she's not that mother, so let's see what comes from these two new players. But that's a breakdown of episode 4 and where Rock has issues across the board, from her empire to her family and also her love life. So drop all your comments down below and let me know if you think Rock can salvage the situation, or are we watching her downfall? I definitely think so. So drop all your thoughts down below on all things episode 4. And of course, if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.